Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel. And the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Well, today we'll be reviewing a pen from a brand that I think that's made a mark in our fountain pen community, and that is Rhodia. I mean, Rhodia is known for its paper and its notebooks. French-based company, from what I understand. Great paper. Not one of my favorites because of its glossy texture, etc. But so I was curious when I saw that Rhodia also had writing instruments, and I figured, you know what? Now's the time. Why don't we buy a few and propose that to my viewers? And so that's what this review is about. We're going to be reviewing a kind of a set. It includes a mechanical pencil, a ballpoint, and a fountain pen. From what I understand, there may also be a rollerball, but I guess I missed that one. But, you know, our focus is the fountain pen. I'm very curious to see how that fountain pen works and how the writing sample will go. But without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents the Rhodia writing set. Okay, so we're back with the three writing instruments. Let's start with the pencil, which is this one here. At the same time, you know, the design is very similar. The materials are very similar. As you can see, it is a hexagonal, I guess, is the how many sides? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very nice brushed aluminum. Now, I would have loved to have purchased these pens in that orange color, which resembles most, I think, you know, the orange Rhodia notebook. But I was unable to find all three instruments at the same time with the same retailer or internet, you know, vendor. So I had to settle for this gray, but in hindsight, it's a beautiful brushed gray black. Very nice. The pencil is very simple. There's not much to it. It doesn't have many features compared to some of my other mechanical pencils. It's a .07. You can see the Rhodia brand and the logo stamped on the clip. The clip is fairly functional. It does have an eraser right there, so which is good news. And it's simple. I think you remove that eraser, insert your leads, and you're off to the races. There's not much more to it. It doesn't have a mechanism where the pipe is retreated in interior to the interior. It stays out. It does not have any of the features that some of the more complex mechanical pencils have. But the feel is very good. It kind of mimics a real pencil, if you will. A little bit thicker than a real pencil. I like the section here. It creates some distance, which I like as well. So there you have it. That's the pencil. The next is the ballpoint. Here again, same basic design, brushed aluminum, functional clip, brand and logo on the clip, and it's a retractable ballpoint. Not much more to it. I haven't quite figured out how to get to that ballpoint. It doesn't appear to. Here we go. It does unscrew here. Okay, there you have it. So, yeah, let's look at the. I just want to see what do they have their own. Oh, it's kind of stuck there. You know what? I don't want to break this before I even use it. And our focus is going to be that fountain pen in any event. But there you have it. I'm just wondering if the same thing. No. Yes, it unscrews here as well. Oh, I see. So you can get to the barrel two ways. You either unscrew here or through there. Same thing with the ballpoint. It does unscrew there. And here's the main focus. Here's the fountain pen. Of course, it's much thicker than all the other three. Rhodia is right there, like the finial. Finial has that kind of an O-ring there. I think that will help in the posting of this pen. Smooth, brushed aluminum. It's got some weight to it, which is nice. I almost wish that the Rhodia was this way, as opposed to this way, but maybe it's just me. Very nice the way the cap matches on. It's a snap. Let's take a look at what's in this cap right away to see if there shouldn't be an issue because it's metal and it's one piece. But there is a step, and there does appear to be a kind of an insert there that should help with the sealing of that nib. It's a snap. Now, I thought I had a defective pen, but you got to kind of snap it in. It's not obvious. If it's not in the right direction, it does not snap. Oh, there you go. Oh, there's something wrong here. I thought there was this little snap. There you go. Okay, so if you don't put it in the right direction with the nib, it won't snap. So you kind of, there you go. Now you found the snap. Find a little bit quirky. I find that a little bit quirky. Don't have time to play around with the cap back and forth. That's not, let me just try that again. If I put this upside down, will it work? I guess you got to find the groove. It makes sense because the sides have got to line up. Takes a little patience, not much, but takes a little patience. Springy clip, very nice. Okay, so let's look at the motor of this pen. Pretty simple Rhodia branded broad nib. It does appear to be a number 5 nib. We'll see how that nib. Looking at the nib, and I find that there may be a problem with it, but we shall see. Does this thing twist open? I'm not sure. It is a cartridge converter, so there you have it. Let me just see if I could. You know what? I don't want to force it. I'll do some reading. Somebody will tell me. I don't want to break it before I even use it. Kind of a pretty standard converter. Works well. It's got an O-ring there so that when you screw, it tightens and doesn't loosen up when you're writing. In terms of feel, very thin section, thinner than what I'm used to. Otherwise, the pen is fairly comfortable unposted. I would say to you it's got a nice length. Very thin, a little bit of a slippery feel, but we'll see when we actually do the writing. Now this I'm certain does cap, yeah, with that O-ring. I think it makes it a little bit unbalanced. It becomes a little bit long, plus with that thin section, I'm not sure that it's the most comfortable pen. It's a very weird feeling. It's almost as if I'm writing with a paintbrush, if you know what I mean, as opposed to a pen. I would have a tendency to go up just a little further up there before I don't enjoy this position, especially with the length. But we will write. It's only when you write that your hand kind of looks for the most comfortable position and it takes over. I mean, the way it's been finished is really, really nice. It's a pretty pen. Very modern looking, very slick. That brushed aluminum is just gorgeous. I think that's the highlight of this pen, provided that nib does work. But there you have it. I think that's essentially the outside. And let me just see if you've got to find the little groove there. So there you have it. That's the outside version, outside and inside version of the writing instruments. What we'll do is we'll do some comparisons, and we'll be right back. For the comparison of both the ballpoint and the pencil, I've chosen a few writing instruments that are faceted, if you will. I've got the Rotring. This is the ball pen, the ballpoint, and this one here is the pencil, .07. You can see that there are differences, but this is the Stadler, and this is a Rotring clone on AliExpress, Red Circle. Okay, a cheap clone, but clone nonetheless. As you can see, both the ballpoint and the pencil are much smaller. I would say to you, just in girth, just slightly more thicker than the others, but I think they adopted a kind of a nice design. One of my favorite designs for mechanical pencils in any event. So that is the pencil and pen side. Now let's take a look at a comparison of some pens. I've chosen some metal pens that I had in my collection that have a similar girth to them, if you will, and similar price points. Okay. First and foremost is the subject pen. This is the Tag Submarine that I reviewed recently. This is the Majon B25. This is a Scrivener offering. I'm not sure they have a name, but it's the Scrivener. Here is the Hongdian. Is it 1861 or 1866? I keep forgetting. 1861. They call it the 1861 Pro in brass. And this is the sister, if you will, but in titanium. So there you have it. In terms of length, very similar to the Scrivener and the titanium Hongdian. And those are the pens capped. Here are the same pens uncapped and unposted. You can see it's got a nice length, much bigger than all these, even bigger than the titanium, the brass, the Scrivener, and the Majon. It's just the Tag Submarine is slightly longer. The nib appears to be difficult to say. This is a number 6 size, and that is, I think, a number 5 size. It looks unique. It does not appear to be from any of the major pen nib makers, but I think we'll only be able to tell once we actually start doing some writing. So those are the pens uncapped and unposted. Here are the pens posted. So you can see that the The Rhodia is ridiculously long in my view. The tag is not a great poster, and it might even trigger that piston knob. The rest are really nice posters, and reasonable size. Even the brass Dieman, which some would say is a little bit too long, but you can see that the Rhodia is much, much too long in my view. In terms of the sections, it's probably got the thinnest section here than all the others. There you have it. And maybe the Scrivener kind of matches it in some way. What's interesting is that it's very long, so you have no choice but to really keep your finger close to that thin section, which may be a problem. We shall see when we do the writing sample. So there you have the pens posted. What we shall do now is that we shall put down some measurements and then go to the writing samples and maybe compare writing with some of these other pens as well. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back for the writing sample. First things first, in terms of the ink that I've chose, I love this bluish gray from Dieman. And when I think of titanium, for some reason, this bluish gray right here is one of my favorites. So that's the ink we chose. By the way, the inking of the pen with that converter was very nice and smooth, good fill. So that converter worked well. Sometimes, I forget to mention that some pens are more difficult. For some reason, their converters just don't work properly. They fill halfway, and we kind of just settle for that kind of a situation, and we shouldn't. We should mention it, and when I can, I will. Okay, so in terms of the paper that we're going to be using, this is my Wonderland 222 notebook with Tomoe River paper. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can really, I'm very curious to see how this pen, and we're going to write with it both posted and unposted. Okay, well, I can tell you right away that it takes a little bit of getting used to. So this is the Rhodia. And I forgot to mention its real name, or its full name, is Rhodia Script fountain pen. I can tell you right away that this nib is just so smooth. Pleasantly surprised. I'm not sure, but I suspect that it may very well be, no, I can't say, is it a Bach number 5? Does Bach do a number 5? I was almost going to say that it felt like I was writing with a Schmidt nib, but it's much smoother than a Schmidt nib. Schmidt nibs are juicy and very nice line, but they do have a little bit of feedback. This has almost no feedback. So the nib is a, I don't know where it comes from, but it's a Rhodia branded broad nib. I'm glad I chose the broad. I really, really am. The ink is Dieman bluish gray. Very nice. By the way, you do get used to the small section. No big deal. Let me try to write with it, post it. Paper is the Wonderland 22 Tomoe River paper. And I can tell you it's totally unbalanced. So we'll remove the cap. It's fine. It's fine. You get used to that small section. Okay, now, smoothness. Wow. Let me tell you, I am so pleased. Is excellent. I think I put an extra. No, I'm okay. I give it a 10 on 10. Wetness. I mean, it is broad, but 10 on 10. I mean, 10 on 10 to the extent that you, it's very, very wet. So some of you may not like that. For me, it's 10 on 10. Consistency, very constant. Very, very constant. That's me. Oh, twice, maybe not. Very constant. I was about to say. Just a little quirk there. I'm not sure. Yeah, it just might be the angle of the pen. I have a tendency to write with the wrong angle. No, we're okay in terms of consistency. When I keep the right angle, I think we're okay. Let me just test it a little more. No, I think we're okay. It's very constant. Bounce, no bounce. None whatsoever. Very stiff. So that's it. Very pleased so far. Likes. Dislikes. I like the design. The build quality is excellent. So design and build quality. Dislike is thin section or thin grip. Some people may not like that. For me, it's a dislike, but you get used to it. The nib, I'm giving it a 9.5. It is so juicy and smooth. The material is very nice. I like that brushed aluminum. I thought it would be a little more slippery than it is, but it isn't. The value, mixed feelings. We'll take a look at some other pens that I had in a comparison. Value at 89 Canadian. Maybe some people might say that that's a little too much. But, to have in your collection a Rhodia pen, I think is fun. So there you have the individual review. Now, what I plan to do is I want to compare this pen, the writing experience, with some of the other pens I had chosen in the comparison. And more importantly, I want to take out a Rhodia notebook. And see whether or not the marriage between this fountain pen and its sister notebook is a good one. I can tell you that on Tomoe River paper, or at least this paper, it is an excellent, excellent combination. So Rhodia, you better live up to your name, as they say. So let me set up the comparison. I'm going to get my Rhodia notebook, or one of them, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. One thing I forgot to write with the ballpoint and the pencil. So before we go to the Rhodia experiment or the comparison with other pens, let's take a look at how those two other writing instruments write, correct? Okay, overhead camera, here we go. Yeah, forgot all about these two nice offerings. Now, the pen, I gotta just take out that little knob there, protector, and see how it writes. Okay, so this is the I prefer the section here. Yeah. Rhodia ballpoint. I like the way it writes. For a fine, it really, really writes beautifully. Nice and smooth. It usually, ballpoints, you end up fighting with the paper, but not this one. Even the fine, very precise. It's a fine nib. It's a fine line. It's still very enjoyable. There's a little rattle. You hear that? Which I'm not fond of. But having said that, if you're looking for, I also prefer blue. But I'm going to take a look at what I noticed on cult pens that they do have the refills. So I'm going to take a look at the refills, see if I can get a bigger size, etc., and what they come in. And maybe I'll put it up on the screen for you so you know. There you have it. But I believe that cult pens does offer the refills for that ballpoint pencil. It's an 07, which is good. Again, I like the grip here, much thicker. So this is the Rhodia mechanical pencil. I like the weight. I like the feel. It's 07, so because I have a tendency to break the 05 unless I get a special hard lead. Writes very nicely. Thank you very much. So another pencil added to my collection that I can use on a daily basis, and a ballpoint that I can use. I use ballpoints namely when, inky fountain pens are not practical, and also to sign documents. I don't want the ink to go all over the place, the paper, then people touch it because it's not dry and it smudges all over the place. So that's where I use my ballpoints. So great collection, beautiful titanium. There you have it. Now we'll go to the Rhodia notebook and do some writing comparisons. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with one of my Rhodia notebooks. This is an A5 size lined version. I have several. Don't use enough of Rhodia, and I know some reviewers just swear by Rhodia, that use nothing but Rhodia. I'm not overly fond of this paper, but that's very, very peculiar of me. So don't take that as a sign that Rhodia paper is not good paper. Quite the contrary. Okay, so let's just see how it rates on Rhodia paper. So this is the Rhodia. Did I spell that right? Is it H right off the bat? Yes, it is. Rhodia script. Fountain pen. I can tell you that although it writes very nicely, the writing experience on Tomoe River is twice as good. Maybe it's just my subjective dislike for this paper. Yeah, throw some comments at me. I know I'm peculiar. I know. It's just a glossy paper that I just don't enjoy. But there you have it, Rhodia script. Now, yeah, I wanted to compare the pens and the prices. So, as we mentioned, this is 89 Canadian. I purchased this along with the rest, cult pens. So we'll put that aside. That quirky, very quirky, I don't like it. Now let's hope that some of these pens write. Okay, so first one is this Tag Submarine. It's got a Schmidt number 5 nib. So this is Tag. Yeah, I can tell that, mind you, this is a medium or a fine. Because on Rhodia paper, when you compare it to Tomoe River, the line is always a little bit thinner. And this one is a fine. The feed is a little bit different. I thought maybe where we're talking about Schmidt nibs on that Rhodia, but I'm not sure anymore. This tag is completely overpriced. I mean, it's at Amazon right now for $227 Canadian. It's a nice metal pen. I reviewed it. On one of my recaps, I was sent the pen by Tag to give them some advice or just my own feelings on the pen. And I mentioned to them the pen is nice, but I think it's overly priced. It's got also a funny kind of a piston system, which I'm not sure is perfect. Here is the this is the Dieman. Very similar writing experience, by the way. This is the titanium, the T1. See, this one is going for $50. This is where some of these Chinese pens just kind of make so much more sense, you know. It's a titanium body, beautiful nib. Which one would you choose? $90 versus $50. Interesting choice, isn't it? I mean, it's nice to have in your collection. Then you've got this Dieman brass version, which is a little bit thinner than the titanium with a number 5 nib. Let's see how this one compares. Brass. This one is a little similar, but I think the Rhodia is much smoother. So the brass is $42 Canadian. Again, which pen would you choose? The Dieman brass or the Rhodia brushed aluminum? Almost twice the price. Scrivener. These are fine, really fine writers, eh? Scrivener. This is a black. This is the one that has that Schmidt. Is it the medium? Yeah. This has the Schmidt medium. Yeah, the writing of Schmidt nibs is beautiful, by the way. Some of the most underestimated nibs. But they have that kind of pencil chalky feedback. So I'm not sure it's a Schmidt nib on that Rhodia. I wonder what it is. Now this Scrivener goes for $60 on Amazon or $70 in kind of a brass finish. So if you take kind of a more expensive, to compare it to the Rhodia, after all it is brushed aluminum, you're talking 70 versus 89. So there you have it. And then last but not least is my Majon B25 that I'm growing really fond of these days. This is the Majon B25. It's a fine nib. I mean, the feel of this pen is not nearly as exciting as the Rhodia. Don't get me wrong. I think it writes beautifully, especially for a student pen or a starter. Majon B25, folks, is going for anywhere between $10 and $25 on AliExpress. All these prices are Canadian, by the way. So, the Rhodia is substantially more expensive, but I think it's unfair to, this is just light metal as opposed to nice brushed aluminum. I don't think you compare. But there you have it. I thought I'd give you a kind of a comparison between all those pens that I showed you in the comparison segment, and just to see which one would you pick. Your choice. I can tell you right off the bat that I really like this Rhodia, that I don't mind spending the $89 just to include it in my collection. I think that the nib is fabulous. The brushed aluminum is very nice. I think it's worth the $89. Now, if you give me a choice, I have no choice but to accept only one of these pens. Which one would I choose? I would choose the titanium Ongdian. But number 2 would be my Rhodia. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that comparison. Also a price comparison. It gives you an idea of where it's situated. $89, it's a good buy. I think it's a good buy. You know, the Chinese, you can't compete with them. You just can't. Not these days. So you either add that Rhodia to your collection because it is a Rhodia fountain pen. But if you're just strictly looking for a writing instrument on a daily basis and you don't want to spend unnecessarily the money, it's not part of an overall collection, you wouldn't go with the Rhodia. Yeah, I would suggest to that person to look at AliExpress and buy yourself. I mean, you got Asvine, you got Mahjong, you got Winsung, you got Jinhao, you got Ongdian, you got lots of choices there for under $89. That's for sure. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you like this video, let me know if you have any comments. I look forward to the comments. Comments kind of, you know, it's some oxygen for this channel. It gives me kind of a stepping stone to other comments and to other content. So do not hesitate, negative or positive. Just be kind. Ciao, folks. Have a great time. Bye now.